this will be really interesting. I know that they've tried a lot of different strategies in the past. This is so far and I mean this purely from a marketing and branding perspective. It's so far of what I perceive their core competency. I'll be really interested to see how they pull this off, or if anyone says, let me go to the HP Cloudland for my apps.
Also, they mentioned that WebOS HP touchpad coming in June. It looks like there's a leak from a retailer that might be coming for $500 in June. They'll have WebOS for PC. Remember, they're going to put WebOS on all of their Windows machines that they sell as a kind of a top layer. And that PC beta will definitely be out by year's end. They plan to ship 100 million WebOS devices this year, including tablets like the touchpad, phones like the PCs, and printers with WebOS as well.
How does the WebOS stack up against Android?
In what way?
I mean, as far as robustness, as far as ease of use or whatever. Because here's what I'm wondering: is if I'm a developer right now, I only have to make my product twice. I only have to make it once for iOS, and then I make it again for Android. With WebOS coming in, they've got to grab the market share, and they've got to please the developers and give them some reason to make their apps again. Because if
you got to do that by getting market penetration. You got to sell a bunch of these devices. So that is why I think it's smart to put WebOS on Windows, because then all of a sudden, if you make an app for WebOS, you're not just making it for the phone. You're also making it for the printer. You're making it for the tablet. You're making it for a PC. It just runs everywhere at once. I think that's what they're betting on. Whether that actually will come to pass, whether people will actually use WebOS on a PC, or I don't know. And the thread that ties both of these parts of the announcement together is, how is Microsoft going to take this? Because Microsoft's Azure platform is their cloud enterprise, and HP has been using that. So now HP says, I'm going to eat a little bit of your lunch there. They're going to keep using Azure, but they're also going to do their own. And then they say, and you know what? We're going to ship our own tablets. We'll keep shipping Windows tablets, but we're going to keep shipping WebOS tablets. So Microsoft's got to be a little concerned about this, I would think.
I would imagine. I mean, it's certainly dusting everything up. I also wonder how much of the decision to go with WebOS comes with the fact that, I don't know, we got it. We got it from that Palm thing that we did a while back. We're sitting on it.
Well, that's why but that's also why they bought Palm. They're like, they didn't buy Palm so that they could lose money on the pre. They bought Palm to get WebOS. They're like, that was what they were after, and now they got to make it pay for itself.
All right. Well, then get that horse a running.
Yeah, that's right. Get those pickaxes.
Get that money, a WebOS move.
All right. I think we can solve piracy. We've got two good ideas here. One comes from the Media Piracy Project, which is not a project to go pirate media, by the way. They were analyzing it.
It's three guys in a dorm room for the Media Piracy Project.
I know how to legitimize us. Let's give us a name.
The Media Piracy Project is not that. The Media Piracy Project comes from the Social Science Research Council. They're a sociology think tank. They've been around since the 20s. They did a 3-year study into media piracy in emerging economies, concentrated on countries like Russia, Mexico, and India, and essentially found out that all of this stuff about suing people, making it illegal, arresting folks, none of that works. No amount of anti-piracy enforcement will change the economics that drive copyright theft. You've got to make things cheaper. They cite the example of Russia, where legal versions of The Dark Knight sell for $15, which is roughly the same price you'd pay in the United States. But because wages are so much lower in Russia, that price represents a much higher percent of a consumer's income, the equivalent of selling The Dark Knight for $75. Pirate versions can be obtained for less than a third of that price, so boom, you go and you get the pirate version.
Right. Well, and the study also confirms, from a sociological standpoint, these countries where piracy is rampant are no less moral. They're no more likely to actually steal something or kill other people or whatever. It's just a case where the economics of the situation are such. I mean, here in America, try on for size. Imagine every piece of media that you buy instead of pirate suddenly costs 5 times as much. If you wanted that video game, suddenly it's $250. If you want that DVD, it's suddenly $75. I think in many ways, with services like Steam, with the iTunes store, we finally have a low enough price and an easy enough way to get a hold of media legitimacy that we're finally emerging. Many people are emerging from the dark days of rampant piracy here in the United States. But if all of a sudden stuff costs that much more, we'd be rolling back to piracy super fast.
In the United States, we can stop piracy, at least according to Daniel Castro, an analyst at the Information Technology and Innovation Foundation, by putting in bandwidth caps.
What?
See, he says the government should allow pricing structures and usage caps that discourage online piracy. Because if you have a lot of bandwidth, that's all you use it for. It appears to be his contention.
I mean, look, of all the places to try to sell us on that, a network where we stream live video and that we podcast out giant chunks of high quality data to people who want to consume it. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous and offensive. And
Daniel
stupid.
Castro also suggests that deep packet inspection be routinely deployed by ISPs in order to scan subscriber traffic for potential copyright infringement. And Castro has a solution. If courts crack down on the practice, the law should be changed. Because, frankly, intellectual property is the only reason our country exists. If there were no intellectual property, we shouldn't even be alive. Brian?
There are certain times I just want so bad for Cory Doctorow to magically be at my side, to just grab the mic and just assail this kind of argument.
Oh, it's utter crap. It's born of the idea that the intellectual property industry is somehow the most important industry in the world, and that if it has even the slightest threat, that we should bring the full power of the law to bear against it. It's worse than murder. We should prioritize it above everything, and I'm sick of seeing it. Should there be laws against piracy? Sure. Should there be protections for copyright? Sure. But they are so far already beyond what is needed to create creativity, to encourage creativity. This sort of stuff is just ridiculous. It's laughable. What we should be having a conversation about is what will happen if we had no copyright law, and how do we protect against the negatives of that, rather than saying, we've got some copyright law, but you know what? It's going to take 1% off my bottom line this year. My industry's in decline. And so I really need the FBI to give up hunting actual criminals and start cracking down on copyright law. And we should have the government mandate bandwidth caps on all ISPs, because that'll help to deter the pirates. And you know what? Let's just make the world entirely inconvenient for everyone, because I need my industry to grow by 15% every year.
Well, this to you and me sounds like a ridiculous solution to handle things that way. But you and I haven't spent gazillions of dollars to finance, different members of Congress to get legislation, to get certain people, I don't want to say under my thumb, but to get people to support my agenda. Like, you and I don't have the massive hammer of government to use to solve our qualms or problems with copyright law. And the part that drives me, and these people who do, of course, they're going to use it if that's what they can get away with. The crazy part is, if their goal really is to make the maximum amount of money from the maximum number of people, then study after study shows that if you lower the price and you increase the ease of purchase, you can tackle piracy. What was the study that said that the optimum price for an MP3 was a nickel? Because at a nickel, nobody would ever bother to torrent anything. Nobody would ever bother to even put it on a USB to give to their friends. Everybody's just like, oh yeah, no, give me the whole album.
And the objection is, we won't be able to continue our industry at that price level. And that is the wrong conversation to have. We should not be having a conversation on Capitol Hill about whether your industry will survive. What these copyright laws are meant to protect is creativity, and will there be innovation and new art? And at that price level, at 5 cents, will there be innovation and new art? I think we would find the answer is yes.
Absolutely, and it should be pointed out, to protect innovation and creativity for a limited time. This business that 100 years after the death of Walt Disney, the company will still own Mickey Mouse is ridiculous.
Yeah,
this is another case of politicians that are bought and paid for.
He's not dead.
What's that?
I mean, he's not actually dead.
Are you talking about he's frozen?
He's in cryogenic.
He's in the middle of Space Mountain?
Yeah.
I saw him once when we were going around a loop. Exactly. He was like...
So that makes the law a little... Yeah, it's hard to interpret that. But you're absolutely right. I am so tired of this argument being hijacked, and you nailed it, Brian, which is we don't have the lobbyists up there making our side of the argument. That's the biggest problem. All right. I want to devote a good portion of the show today to discussing what's going on in Japan. There are a lot of issues there. We're not going to be CNN. We're not going to cover every issue of the earthquake and the disaster relief. There are great places to find resources there, but we can help point you towards some of those resources, and we can tell you a little bit about the technology. Most important, we can actually give you some on-the-scene reports from listeners in the tech